It's 7 o'clock. We do have a quorum present. Janie is going to lead us in the pledge, and Kim is going to read our mission statement.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas pledge.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Janie.
The board mission statement, Tolosa Midway Independent School District educates every student to be a lifelong learner, a person of integrity, and a positive contributor to society.
Thank you, Kim. Okay. Our first.
No one signed up.
No one has signed up for open forum. Thank you very much. And we will go into our business here. Okay, put in an agenda. Anyway, okay, thank you. And we go into our discussion action items. Discuss and consider the 2022-2023 teacher salary scale. Mr. Van Matry.
Mr. President, members of the board, this is a significant item that we bring before you tonight. It represents on average, over 8% salary increase to our teachers. If you will look on the proposed 2022-23 salary schedule, the starting teacher last year with 0 years of experience was $46,200. That would go up to $51,500, which is over 11% increase. The minimum increase that any teacher would receive are those towards the 25 to 30 year experience level, and those would be 3.96%, which would be at $2,500. Again, the average pay increase on this proposal is 8.49%. The median is 8.52, and the spread is 10.62. Mr. Carroll and I got to know each other very well from the time that I signed my contract till today. And we had numerous conversations on the financial impact, knowing that if we had our way, we would pay teachers much more than what the salary schedule that I'm bringing to you tonight. But we also know, and Mr. Carroll knows it better than anyone, that we also have a budget to balance. And just these pay increases alone are over $1.3 million addition to the budget. When we factor in what we're going to bring next month, which is administration raises and paraprofessional, we're going to be pushing close to $2 million. And quite frankly, we're not going to be getting $2 million additional dollars in revenue from either the state or local taxpayers for the 22-23 school year. But we also know that there's areas where we can cut back on without impacting students, without impacting program, and certainly without impacting safety. And we have come to an agreement that we are able to sustain this, and it's a start. It's not where we're going to finish, but it's a start. And it's one of the initiatives that when going through the interview process, really the 3 times I visited with some of you and the 2 times I visited with all of you, I strongly felt that this was one of your top priorities, and it certainly is aligned with mine. Having said that, I'll defer to Mr. Carroll to see if he has any additional information you would like to share with the board.
I think that really does summarize everything up, but also we're kind of doing a catch-up because the teachers have only gotten step raises the last 2 years. So it is a significant raise, but I think it's what we need to do, and we will do what we need to do to bring a balanced budget in August. But I think, like you said, this is our first step, and it's what we have to do.
And it is sustainable, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
And very well
Very good.
deserved.
I'd
It
like
is
to-
deserved.
I have some few questions for you, Philip.
Yes.
Just a short few months ago, when Dr. Fernandez was here, we came and asked for a 2.5% pay raise. Nothing's changed. You didn't think it was deserved then or what? Because you,
I never said we weren't, I've said
no,
for 6
let me
months, we're
finish.
gonna do raises.
Well, it's been a lot more than 6 months. He's been gone for over a year. So let me ask you, it was a 2.5% increase. So we're going from a 2.5% increase to a 8.5 average increase. Let me point one thing for certain, that from day one that I got here, I've been asking for teacher raises also, not just certain people. We all have.
Correct.
But just a short few months ago, you couldn't find the money to do it at a 2.5% increase. And now we're going 8.5%, which is great. But, I was researching the tax basis. In the year in 2019 and 2020, our assessed values decreased in the county by almost 125 million. In 21, they increased by 181. So a net in those 3 years was 60 million. In the past 5 years, the Nueces County for our side of the area has increased asset values. I'm not talking about market value, asset values of less than 1% per year. Can you just explain to me what the difference was between Dr. Fernandez's request at 2.5%, just a short few months ago, to Van Maitre's request a week into his job now? I'm all for it. I'm going to vote for it. But
Well, I have to
can you
apologize.
explain that to me? Because that's almost 3 times, or more than 3 times what we asked for just a few short months ago.
Okay, I apologize, I am a little confused. Dr. Fernandez wasn't here 2.5 months ago.
No, I didn't say 2.5 months, a short few months ago. It has been a year and, 2 months that he's been gone? But we asked for this because we had a meeting like this, and you said it was not in our budget because we had to carry so much on our general ledger. I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant, so I don't understand.
If you're talking about when we adopted the budget for this year that we're currently in, at that time, we had just gotten the interim superintendent. Dr. Fernandez had been put on leave. We just got the interim superintendent right before I adopted the budget. At that time, I don't ever remember specifically anyone asking exactly for 2.5%.
Philip, when I, isn't it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there was not a budget done by Dr. Fernandez, was there, for the last school year?
No, he was already on leave.
He was on leave.
Which was,
There was,
But we didn't
But you
have a
don't
balanced
start a
budget.
budget.
We didn't have a balanced budget when we started. We had to float the 35 or 50,000 so that you could balance the budget.
right, but
Okay.
I will tell you, without a superintendent here, we balanced the budget, but I did not feel like without a superintendent, without any leadership, I balanced the budget based upon what we had. The teachers got their step raise.
I'm talking
But I-
about separation. When Dr. Fernandez was here, it came to, and Kim wasn't on the board, so maybe she doesn't remember this, but it came up for a 2.5% increase pay raise, and we were told as a board that it was not in the budget. Nothing has changed in our budget. We still have a $21 million around figure in our general fund.
I don't
And-
recall that because Dr. Fernandez didn't start until September after we'd adopted the budget the year he was here.
We had
He
been
got put-
talking raises,
He got put on leave in June.
yes.
Before we had finished the budget for the new year, so
Well-
Dr. Fernandez wasn't here when he was never here when I was working on a budget.
I'm not saying the budget, I'm saying that he was asking for a raise for the teachers, and we were trying to get a 2.5%, and he told us that we couldn't, it was not in the budget. And you explained that we had to carry so many months of monthly money in the general fund, and that's why we couldn't do it.
I do not recall.
Okay.
That explanation.
Like I said, I want the teachers and everybody to know that I want to support this.
And Mr. Benavides, just let me say this. I've been around a lot of budgets and people that have similar positions as Mr. Carroll. It was not a slam dunk doing any of this. Not only Mr. Carroll, but also Dr. White worked diligently to try to be able to bring something like this and not put the district in any kind of financial situation. It wasn't impulsive. I remember, Philip, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but he would reference, he's going to have to cut his wrists. I was wanting to move so fast, but I know you put in the time that we can make this recommendation. I don't know what happened in the past. I just know that I'm really proud that we can bring this to you and we can send a message to our staff how important they are.
Mr. Van Anger, one of the questions that I would have in this, and when I read this, is this a complete overall, including the stipends that we issued out?
No,
This is
So-
only salary.
this is only
This is
salary.
only- so
The
you're still-
stipends are addition
So
to.
you're saying that you added $1 million to the.
What was it, about 1.3?
And what was the amount, including the stipends that we just approved at the cafeteria
The
a couple of months
stipends we
ago?
approved, that was about, I want to say it was about 300,000.
So it's 1.5. Well, we're gonna, 1.6 around
And I'll
there.
say the 1.3, the 300,000, that was, we just took rough counts and multiplied it. I can tell you that the stipends are not going to be that much because we have criteria about who qualifies for those stipends. We just said, like.
Yeah, we had quite a few different criteria, is what I'm saying, though.
Right.
I mean, we even had one for EOC.
Right.
So, which I would hope the teachers were working to pass that test. Not just, for the stipend an additional stipend to teach the EOC. We're hoping to get our students in higher education, not towards, financial stability in all aspects. So what does that do to our budget as it looks if the numbers were to stay the same?
What it does with the fact also is last year maybe a little bit because of COVID, we added, and because of the hold harmless that they did that last year, we added almost $3 million to the fund balance. So that wasn't because we didn't want to spend the money, we just didn't. But what that also shows is we have a little bit of wiggle room in some of our other budgets that we can make this up.
That can fund this.
But what I have said consistently for the last 4 months is, since we haven't given significant raises, only these teachers have gotten step raises in the last 3 years, really, because it was the last biennium when the legislature did House Bill 3 that we gave a big across-the-board raises. I said, we've already fallen so far behind, this is what we have to do, and we will have to trim the other budgets that don't affect, because there are some budgets, like Mr. Van Mutry said, we can't cut special ed, we can't cut bilingual, we can't cut state comm. There are certain programs that we have to spend the same amounts or more than what we had before.
My only thing, Philip, I'm not trying to bash you on this. What I'm trying to let the people know is where I'm upset with this and with you on this part is that if we're doing it tonight, we could have done it a year and a half ago. These teachers could have had their money a little bit earlier than tonight. That's where I think I'm going with this, because that's how I feel.
That's a perfectly valid point for you to feel that way. But I will tell you, for the last 2 budget cycles, I haven't had a permanent superintendent here. I'm not saying that's an excuse. I'm just saying that we didn't have the direction to say,
Well,
we did balanced budgets, we got through COVID.
let me tell you something.
But I will tell you, Dr. Fernandez was not here in the period where we seriously talked about what kind of raises can we give. He was only here from September through June, not through any budget adoption process. He just-
Are you working on the budget tonight, though? Is this, I mean, I know this is gonna be part of the budget, but I'm
Yes.
saying, you know, you're not figuring out the budget tonight, though. So I'm saying, that's what I'm saying.
He doesn't get
We-
certified values till the end of July.
Exactly, I understand that. What I'm saying is, it didn't have to be the time that he was working on the budget, that he didn't get a budget done. We have been asking for raises. Since November of 20 that I got on, we have been asking for raises, and that's where I'm going with this, nothing else. I wish it was 12% across the board. But the fact is that we're a year and a half late because this could have been done back then.
That could have been Dr. Fernandez's priority also.
Keep in mind, this is just 1/3 of what we're going to bring you. Now, it's by far the biggest because of the number of teachers that we have, and by far the most important because of what they do. But we still have to take care of our administrators and our paraprofessionals. We've already taken care of grounds and maintenance, okay?
And bus drivers.
And bus drivers, okay.
I want to say that I'm proud of, thank you for your week of hard work.
I've had a lot of help.
But I'm proud of this budget, this increase to the teachers out here. They've been through a lot with our kids for the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic. And I don't see any discount at the gas pump saying if you're a teacher, $2 off the gas or
Or
HEB.
food.
So I know they're paying the prices we're all facing right now. And I want to thank you. I'm sorry the raises come this late for you, but thank you very much.
It's true, it's been a long time coming, and it's been unfortunate that the way things have worked out, but this is coming at a good time to catch up the way that it is. It's sustainable. This doesn't bring us up to some of the other districts in the area, but it's a step forward.
Yeah, it makes us very competitive.
It makes us competitive.
Very competitive, because the other districts don't have our kids, which is a huge benefit and traction at TM. Our kids draw staff to want to work with them. And other communities don't have our community, which has always been extremely supportive. It's what makes TM what it is.
And they don't have
Absolutely.
these great teachers either that we
Absolutely.
do.
What a strong staff.
And that's what's so important, because the teachers are the ones that are in the classroom every day. The administrators are there every day. They're dealing with the children. And it's something that, yes, it's overdue. It's coming at a good time, but it's well-deserved because of what all of our teachers have done for our students, every one of them.
And I believe with your action, it's fairly immediate. When will it kick in?
It will kick in, the teachers are on what we call the August calendar. They'll get the raise with their August 15th paycheck.
Retroactive when they start work.
Very much
What was
so.
that, Lenny?
Yes.
The raise will come in the first day they come to work.
Yes.
Even though they won't get paid till August, it's the first day. they
A
come to
brand
work.
new teacher starting this year, when they'll get their first paycheck on August the 15th, and it will reflect
Right.
the new salary scale.
And they're getting a substantial increase, which is good.
And teachers that are staying here, they get their last check for this year that just ended in July, and get their first one in August.
So, I mean, it's something that has been needed to be done. It's unfortunate that it's coming at this time, but leadership makes the difference. And once we're all in the same boat. Y'all are doing all the rowing and pushing and moving us forward. Y'all deserve it. Each and every one of you, even the ones that aren't here. I mean, you know, I used to be a teacher, so I know what y'all went through, but of course, I didn't make hardly anything way back then. I taught, drove a bus, coached, you know, and wow, Yeah. Something back then, but of course, times have changed, and it's well deserving, and I'm so proud that we have leadership that sees it and makes sure that it's happening, and it will be sustainable. It'll help out everyone. We're proud of each and every one of you, all of you, even the ones that aren't, every one of them. You're great people. I
Daryl,
think very highly of you.
on our next spreadsheet, can we have it in there, like how many teachers are this step or that step? Or like the next one, I guess, would be administrators. Can we have like how many administrators at each step?
Yeah, this is only teachers.
Teachers, right, but-
This is only teachers.
I think I have that data.
Well, I just, if you can add that in there next time, so we can just kind of see
Yeah.
whereabouts our steps are, how many teachers we have where.
Also, when we're calculating this raise, the impact on the base budget, that's just based on guesstimates, and I used what our current staff was this last year. We've had people leave that
Right.
might have been higher steps,
New
and we're gonna
hires.
replace them maybe with people that are on lower steps. So I'm also anticipating when the budget settles, it won't be, I mean, this salary kicks in, but the actual total effect won't be as much because
Did we
of
do
some
all
of
the hires?
turnover. But I do have the count where I can show you how many people we had on each step for this, because this is, like I said, this is teachers, counselors, librarians, and RNs.
Okay.
And there are the majority of the teachers are 187 days, but some of the counselors work more days, the RNs work a few more days, the librarians work a few more days, so it's a little bit more for them because they work more days. But I have that breakdown of how many are on each step and how many days their calendar is.
And the stipends are on top of this
Yeah,
proposed
this doesn't
salary?
have any,
Okay, so if a new teacher comes in with a bilingual, she's gonna still get their, or he's gonna get
Yes,
the extra 3,000 and stuff?
Absolutely.
every
And then there's
stipend
also
that they qualify
retention
for.
pay that'll kick in on September 1st. 5 and 2.
And is that, I
Federal.
understand that's a federal fund, but
That's
is that,
federal.
do we put that up front, or do they,
What? No, they get a check.
well, I understand, but do we get that money up front, or do
We
we have?
draw down.
A drawdown.
Federal
Okay.
funds, he'll spend it.
We have to spend it,
And
and
he'll draw
then
it
we
down.
can ask to get reimbursed.
Okay, that's what I'm saying, so we pay it up front.
That's
Yes,
correct.
yes, that's how.
But with
that's
the-
how-
But it's a quick process of him seeing the money.
And they know about that earlier.
I've told him informally, I
We
haven't,
might as well say it now, that's a great deal.
I'll let you.
Well, I understand that it's the 5-2, but it's that the teachers will be getting a retention check for $5,000 from the
September
federal-
1st.
September 1st from the federal fund, but the 2,000 is for, the 2 is what?
For paraprofessionals.
Paraprofessionals.
That's something else Mr. Van Matry got for you guys and stuff, so.
Well, let me correct. I'd like to take credit for that, but that was the federal government giving
Well, I
us
understand, but you wouldn't
ESSER
look at it.
funds that, and it's based on continuity. The government believes if there's continuity with our people staying, that it's better for kids and it can close the COVID gap. And that's what we're doing.
And once again, before I finish my part on this, is I want the teachers in the community to know that I'm all for this. I just wish it had happened a little bit quicker, and, but I'm glad that it finally got to this point where, it got out, so, great job.
Yes, sir. It is the administration's recommendation that the board approve the 2022-23 teacher salary scale as presented.
Yes, sir, Mr. Van Matry, I'll make that the Board of Trustees to approve the 2022-2023 teacher salary schedule as presented. Do you have a second? Give us a second. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Two hands.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry to be on your work again.
Just volunteer for
dinner.
Next, we move on to discuss and consider the following federal funding staff positions. Mr. Van Matry.
Mr. President, members of the board, we are traditionally allocated based on our economically disadvantaged numbers, about a little over $800,000 to support the instructional program. Historically, you have spent these funds at the elementary campus. This year, we see a need to expand those funds and serve all of our campuses. Last year, out of the over $800,000 allocation, only a little over $400,000 was used. And there is a significant amount of support, whether it be social, emotional for our children during the pandemic, whether it be parent relations, as we see from the latest comprehensive needs assessment that our elementaries have done, whether it be dropout prevention that is critical not only at the high school level, but as early as our primary campus. The elementary campus leadership has reached out to me regarding the need for parent liaisons, parent facilitators. So with this recommendation and the funding that we have, this would allow for 3 of those to be placed at our 2 elementary campuses and our middle school campus. We would take current personnel, the social worker, and she would work exclusively with our high school students. Communities and Schools is a dropout prevention entity that anywhere I've ever worked, I've had the opportunity. I will not know, based on Mr. Carroll and Lupe Cood, who's currently contracting our federal programs, how much funds I will have to outfit a Communities and Schools worker, but it'll start at the high school and it'll go down. And then I see a huge need for a curriculum and instruction department where we have our 6 instructional coaches. We will have our technology person that would work under the leadership of Dr. White in that department. And an elementary curriculum director and a secondary curriculum director could also help with what I think is a non-existent now, vertical alignment, connecting the schools. I think primary and the intermediate have a more cohesive vertical alignment than what I see with middle and high school. And I want to bring those 2 campuses together. This will allow that. 100% of these funds will be federal. This will also give us an opportunity to use the money that the federal government provides for TM children. That's my recommendation.
That's a good thing, because I know about Communities in School. I used to know one of the guys who's charges some of that stuff in Central Texas, and that it's a good organization. And also having that elementary and secondary curriculum directors, that's something that we definitely need.
I agree.
It's something, if we can get this and get, like I said earlier, we're all in the same boat, all working together. Get somebody in there to help bond that between high school and middle school, that would be excellent. And the parent facilitators, that's something excellent.
Those would be paid at the paraprofessional level. The curriculum directors would be obviously at the director level, and Communities in Schools is contracted services, $32,000 for each campus. There are Communities in Schools employees that work in our schools.
And that's a federal program, so we're not paying,
It's federal money
but
used
that's on a
for,
yearly basis? We have to
Yes.
reapply every year for it?
yes, I will bring you their contract on an annual basis. This is a 2-step process. First, I'm asking for the opportunity to engage with communities and schools. The second part of that is actually bringing you the contract for your approval.
I hate to ask you a question.
You can ask me anything.
What happened to the money we didn't use? It just got sent back or what?
Some of it rolls forward. I don't think we lost any money.
So if we didn't use 400,000, would that be added on to whatever we're gonna get granted this year? Like if we're gonna get granted another 800,000, and we'll have
It
1.2?
rolled over from 2021 to this year, and we have the NOGAs, the notice of award, they overlap 3 months because they're 15-month periods.
Okay.
So they start July 1 and they go through September 30th, and then the new one starts about in July or August, depending on when we get our application in. Sometimes we don't get the NOGA back. That's been another thing. We don't get the NOGA back from TA until maybe August. But it just rolls over. And we have until September 30th to spend the money that rolled over, and then we have the new 830,000 that's gonna start for 22-23.
So it doesn't add in then?
Well, we
No,
haven't
it's just
spent the
whatever we
400.
don't spend will roll over, we'll keep rolling over.
Minimizes
Can I-
the gap.
Philip, can I ask you, because this is the second program that we don't utilize all of its money, can you kind of elaborate why we have programs that are set
I will say.
that we're not utilizing?
Part of it is COVID, just over the last 2 years, we just had positions that weren't filled all the time, and the kids aren't able to do as much as what they would normally do. And I really can't give you a specific example, it's just that the last 2.5 years have just been unusual.
Yeah.
Has been.
And I will
Do
tell
you know
you
how
that-
much more we're gonna get back for our SPED, federal funds since we sent back? My understanding of what you said is sometimes they kind of penalize us for not using the money.
Well, what they penalize us for is, we get a pretty nice chunk of federal money for special ed.
Yeah.
But in order for you, they call it maintenance effort, because what they don't want you to do is, they don't want you to cut back locally spending for special ed when you're getting all this federal money.
Yeah.
So they want you to still prove that you're spending your local money as much as you were, like you're not reducing your local contribution
Yeah.
while you're getting all this federal money.
Well, we should be.
But because of COVID and because we've had such high turnover in some of the special ed positions, and even when we tried, we weren't able to fill the positions. We had subs, but we still weren't able to be 100% staffed and spend that level to get up to that level. And the thing about maintenance effort, once you reach this plateau, if you spend $1 less than that, you owe them the dollar back. And so we're trying to get back up to that plateau that we had right before COVID. So,
Well, Yolanda, you better start spending it, girl. We need every penny you can get from there.
but we just, we've added some things to we're getting a special ed instructional coach, and that's what we're using with the federal money. So we're doing some things with it. And I will say because of COVID, we got an additional, I want to say, they gave us another like 300,000, and it was late. It wasn't even at the beginning of last year. It was like in the middle of this last year.
So we still have that money?
We still have that money.
Yeah,
So,
that, you can use it for.
and that will keep rolling. So,
Great.
it's just maintaining that maintenance of effort in the local budget was just difficult when we had so much turnover and so much gap in filling the positions.
Well, I'm glad that you recognize that COVID had a lot of things to do with a lot of things that went wrong in our system the past
Right.
couple of years.
I mean,
So this 830, so we have 4, we have to use up to 4 before September?
No, I'm just saying,
I just
our
rolled
current award right now, we have until September 30th to spend what we were awarded in the 21-22.
Well, I'm just trying to get a clear picture, so,
And this 830 is our projected
Amounts that
award
we would get.
for the 22-23 year.
'Cause
So, and then whatever we don't spend here, we'll roll over and add to the 830.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you'll have 1.2.
But what it will do is, we will, by funding all these much-needed positions, that rollover is gonna start shrinking, because we're gonna be spending.
But you want it to shrink.
Right, well, yes, that's what I'm trying to get at.
We won't be leaving we'll be leaving less and less and less unspent to roll over.
That is some money that you want to spend.
Yeah, that's-
So
that's
when, you said the second part of this, how do we get community and schools here, since we start so early? That's what I'm trying to figure out how the
Get a
money works
contract in July.
in July. So we're looking at, this would be
Yes,
clarified.
and they're already moving towards,
So
vetting.
you've already made
Yes.
contact with them, and we got the ball rolling.
we
and
met
all that
with,
kind of-
when did I meet with them?
Last week, your first week.
I don't think there's anyone in TM I didn't meet with last week. So I knew,
I think you brought the director, it was Friday.
I brought him
I
down.
met the director on Friday.
Thursday.
Thursday.
Yes.
Yesterday. Last week was a busy week. It was a.
Well, this is good. That's what you do. You keep moving forward. Make sure you take care of the programs that need to help the kiddos and the teachers out and everything.
Yes, sir.
And everything. Okay.
One more question, sir, before we move on.
Yeah.
This is, besides the therapy portion of community schools, the after-school programs, the cares and all that, we're doing, it's gonna include the tutorial helps and everything else,
I
right?
don't know, I haven't seen the contract.
I know they have a program.
We can tailor it to exactly what we want. What I will defer to is the campuses
Okay,
and their leadership teams. You know, Mr. Alvarado may want the person to come in and do some sort of TMPM at that school, but that would be campus,
and that would be pretty.
campus. Not that
I
I'm
would hope he's
suggesting,
giving them that.
well, that'd be all over Facebook. He's gonna have TMPM at the secondary campus.
I know, I understand each campus can have a different need, okay.
Well, since John brought up one last question, I have another.
Okay,
In the primaries, since you say you're gonna have the parent liaisons,
yes.
since our primary ethnic group is so large Hispanic, are these parents gonna be able to communicate in Spanish to the
I don't
teachers and all
know
this?
what Miss Davila, who she's interviewed, if bilingual. I would certainly say this, that being bilingual would certainly be an advantage in any position. I
Because
wish
see
I
her
was.
posting English and Spanish out there on her
And
pages.
I don't know why I'm not, having been married for as long as I have. And when my wife's mad at me, all I hear is Spanish.
You don't wanna know that Spanish. That's the Spanish you don't wanna know.
Anyway, I'm sure that the campuses are very well aware of what their needs are as far as bilingual people that can communicate with the parents, you know, and the kiddos. You know, they know their campuses and they know their kiddos, they know their parents, which is a good thing. They can tailor it to what they need, which is good. Campus administrators give them that control. So that is a good thing.
Recommendation?
Yes, sir.
It is the administration's recommendation that the board approve the addition of 3 parent facilitators, 2 district-level curriculum directors, and contracting with communities and schools of the Coastal Bend for school year 2022-23.
Thank you, Mr. Van Metry. Do we have a motion? Ben made the motion. Jamie seconds it. Any comments? I'll say that this is a good thing. It's a positive thing for our district and our kiddos, and the campuses in particular. which is very
Absolutely,
good.
sir. Thank you for your support.
Yes. Okay, any other comments, questions? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much. Discuss and consider the renewal of annual financial audit services contract.
Mr. President, members of the board, as you know, this is an annual requirement from the Texas Education Agency to conduct an annual financial audit of the district's resources. It's my understanding that Tolosa Midway ISD has a relationship with Lovern and Kiesnick for these services going back several years. This is an engagement letter that solidifies the district's intent to have them continue the audit services for the fiscal year ending August 31, 2022, in the amount of $29,100. Mr. Carroll, do you have any additional information?
No, that's something that, when we went out for proposals a few years ago, we said, we chose Laverne and Kieschnick, and we could review it 4 more times. So they've done 3 audits. This will be the 4th one in this cycle. And I'm very happy with them, and things will be a little better this year with e-finance. It will not be done at the last minute. The audit hopefully we'll be back on track and try to get our goal is to have the audit done before we leave for Christmas. They will start their preliminary work as soon as they can, and we'll be done before Christmas.
That's a good thing, to have it before Christmas.
Yes.
So you did get ahead of me. I was gonna ask you, how many years have they done it? So, is it gonna be like the food service, then on the 4th year, we go back to a closed bid, or?
Well, no, what we do is, for professional services, we don't really do, it's more of like, it's a professional services, so it's more
We
like.
can't talk money.
You can't talk about it. It's more like qualifications. We just go out, and it'll be our choice. This will be the 4th year, then we'll have 1 more renewal to do the 5th year, for fiscal year 23, and then by that time, then we just decide if, I don't necessarily have to go out and do it again. We could just give them another 5-year options, we'll see what things look like at that time, but.
And I'm only referring back to when you said, it's good to let other people see your books, just to,
Right.
Just bringing that back up from 4 years ago that you mentioned that. I thought that was
Right,
very
we were with the
good character.
previous auditor,
Like
10 years.
Yeah, it was a little bit too long, is what you said we had gone over some time.
It doesn't hurt to switch up.
Right, no, yeah, and I'm just following up on that.
We're not required, TDA requires, if you have a contracted food service company, they require you to go out for bid every 5 years. If when you initially start with a new company, you usually give them the option to renew it for 4 more years for a total of 5 years. But TDA it's the rule, you have to go out for bid at least every 5 years. There is no rule for external auditors.
Okay, it was just something within you that you were used to letting somebody else see the books. That's great, Philip. Thank you for that information.
Okay.
Mr. President, it is the administration's recommendation that the board approve the attached engagement letter from Laverne and Kieschnick LLP for audit services for the fiscal year ending August 31, 2022, in the amount of $29,100.
I'll make that motion, please. Do we have a second, please?
I'll second.
John seconds it. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is discuss and consider the nomination of a candidate for the TASB Board Region 2. It's Federal?
Yes.
From Mathis ISD. He's been at our representative, Region 2, and he's seeking re-election again. And that's a process that it goes through all the people in Region 2. And any people that would like to put their name in a hat, they go. The reason I'm saying all this is because normally it's a board and TASB thing.
No, you're right, it is.
Is that they will go around the candidates that want to be, that they'll go to each district, or they'll send a dossier out to the district for people to see. Now, do we have anybody on our board that would be interested in pursuing for the Region 2 director for the TASB?
I heard Mr. Alfaro speak at one of the things, and he spoke very well. He's fine where he's at.
I think he does a good job of that.
I know him personally and everything, and he is doing an excellent job. They had the lady from Ingleside that did an excellent job, but she gave it up, and he took over, and he's been doing a very good job, I'll put it that way. He has good representation, he has good presentations, and he does support the TASB board real well. So then, if no one I mean, do we have anybody that would, okay, well, then that way, you know,
The
I
endorsement
heard
for,
Jen was doing
that there's an endorsement.
there will be an endorsement probably by the next meeting in
Yes, there- yeah.
July. Yeah.
What happens is that the endorsement will come out.
Is it an individual endorsement or is it by board?
It's by the board.
By
The
the
board.
The board will.
The board, whole board, the board.
So the
does it.
purpose of this tonight is,
Was to see if anyone on
Anybody
the
else
board
wanted
to-
was
Anybody else
interested.
Our board wanted to seek the election of, for the TASB director for Region 2. Okay, well then that will come around normally, by July. Should. Okay. Discuss and consider an increase in district contribution to assist employees cost of TRS active care. Mr. Matry.
Mr. President, members of the board, this was a trustee request to add to the district's contribution of the TRS healthcare contribution, essentially making the minimum plan zero cost. It currently is $114. I visited a couple times with Mr. Carroll, asked for a fiscal impact. He gave me a fiscal impact of over $400,000. At this time, I didn't feel that we could sustain that. I'll let him provide some further details that could provide some insight as to how we got to $400,000.
Right, if you take, right now, we average about 300 employees that are on the insurance. So if you take that 14 times 12 times 300, you're gonna get a number over 400,000. And I would say with what we're doing on the salary scale, we're doing a significant increase there. And we already have increased the contribution from 275 to 300. And that is the goal. Every year, we're gonna look at keeping that up. One thing that we are fortunate with is because the legislature is helping out the TRS fund this next year, so the rates did not change. They did not have their usual increase that they've had, so they're very stable this next year because of the legislature. So this is
So what
something.
you're saying there is that the monthly TRS contribution that an employee makes to TRS is the same for this fiscal year as it was last year.
Right.
I've never known that to happen.
That is unusual, especially with the issues that
Yes.
TRS has been going
But I
through.
think because of COVID and because of what's happened the last 2 years, the legislature is helping to help TRS do that. But that is something that, just like raises, we will continue to look at this. My goal is to get it up closer to the lowest premium,
The lowest being 401.
401, correct.
Yes, sir.
So this would increase $34,000 a month, the request I made for the teachers.
Right.
And 400,000, but we're okay doing 1.4 million. But we can't do the another 400,000. You can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, at this time, the salary increase, that increases everybody's retirement benefits. The contribution does help, it does help their net pay, but it doesn't help your retirement benefits. And what I say is we're putting our biggest bang in the salaries.
so basically they're
in
not,
their pocket now.
Yeah.
basically,
Well,
when they see their
$100 a
raises,
month
nothing's
goes in
gonna
their
come out.
pocket every month,
Their
too,
insurance isn't
if
going
they're
up or
saving it.
anything.
No, and our contribution, y'all already approved increasing the contribution from 275 to 300.
That's
So
right.
they will see the $25.
So they're not gonna see an increase from any money taken from what we just gave them.
They'll get the raise and the $25.
But just to clarify, if we could give them this raise, they would see $100 more in their pocket a month too.
If we increase the
114.
contribution, yes.
Yes, okay, that's what I'm making a point.
So,
I tried.
right now, the employee only, right, contribution?
Yes, employee only. that's all
Would
it
have
is.
been the difference, right?
That's
Because
correct.
right now, they're still getting the $300, even if they're on the family plan.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So I mean, they're still getting a substantial savings because there's probably They're probably contributing, what, maybe $200 a month each one, the majority of them.
My whole point, John, was in trying to keep with the area that other people are doing, like GPs, they're pretty much paying the
If you look
basic
if you look at our
TRS.
exhibit, it'll tell you how many people we have on each plan.
On each plan.
On page
But
41.
we're looking at only the employee numbers, what I'm saying. If we were gonna do the 400, right, or would, I mean, it would be for everyone would get $400. It wouldn't just be the ones that are getting employee money, right?
Everybody gets the 300.
Right.
And if we were talking about funding the minimum, the figure I was given was the 414. The 401 is actually the lowest one. This would be the increase, $101 per month to totally fund the lowest level of the
Right.
cheapest plan.
So only the people that took out the lowest level would be affected by this.
No, everybody
we
gets,
said-
everybody
No,
gets
that's
more
what I'm
than
just
We
trying to
raised
find out too. I'm kind of lost,
contribution
like,
for everybody, no matter what plan they were on, to the minimum, to the cheapest plan.
Up to the 400.
so we were just talking about changing the 300 to 401, is what we're saying, right?
414.
I had asked for the 414.
414, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, all right. I swear I'm getting bounced around, I don't know why.
But we can work at that, Mr. Van Matry, right? Throughout the years, we can work at
Yes,
that.
sir.
Because Philip has been working it up little by little. And next cycle, they
We've increased it, this will be the third year in a row.
third year in a row, possibly take it up more maybe next year.
And this active care is an insurance plan through TRS?
This is all
This is
TRS.
all
It's all
TRS.
TRS.
That is the only insurance that we have
Yep.
to offer.
So there's not a competitive competition
No,
level?
if you
like
have, how
that?
many, what is it, 500 or something where you can have, or have they changed
Well, no,
that?
they have given districts the option to, you can stop offering TRS and go out for bid on your own. But if you leave TRS, you can't come back for 5
and do
years.
it.
Oh, okay,
That's not a good thing.
okay. No.
Hey,
Mr. President, no administrative recommendation.
no administrative recommendation. If there's no administrative recommendation, we move on to but it is a good thought, something to be working on.
Agreed.
Now we move on to consent agenda discussion action items, check payment register, tax collection reports, enrollment reports, minutes of regular and special call board meetings.
I am very new to this agenda item. So I'm going to ask for direction from the board. And do you want me to go through every consent item? Do you want to ask any questions?
That was a long time
I want to
ago.
know what's on page 3 on item number 3.
I'll have to get back with you on that.
No, it's just, your home look.
We just,
It's usually John, the one that keeps asking questions about the check.
Because,
you just make a motion to,
No,
yeah,
it's,
make a motion
It
to,
is the administration's recommendation that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
thank you, Mr. Van Metry. I will make that motion.
I'll second.
Jan seconds. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. And thank you all. We are going to go into closed session. The board will convene in closed meeting as authorized by Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551, for possible discussion of employment of certified personnel, 551.074, discussion of employment of non-Chapter 21 contracts, discuss employment of certified administrators. The closed session item requires action. The board should take such action upon reconvening in open session. 551.103, a certified agenda of closed session is maintained. 551.103, and items are posted and disclosed in accordance with the law. 551.104, it is 7:54 p.m. June the 13th, 2022. We are in closed session. thank you all for coming. Y'all are welcome to stay if you like. But thank you all for coming and thank you all for what y'all do.
And have a great summer.
Yes, y'all do a fantastic. All right, it is 9:06 p.m., June the 13th, 2022. We're back in open session. Mr. Van Matry, please.
Mr. President, members of the board, it is recommended that the Board of Trustees issue a contract for the educator probationary, dual probationary, and non-Chapter 21 contracts for the 2022-2023 school year as presented on the attached list.
I'll make that recommendation, please. Sir, do we have a second? Ben seconds it. Any comments, questions?
I only have one comment. Mr. Van Matry, due to the fact that you do have an assistant baseball coach on that, or we're not a head coach on it, is it wise to leave him with this bunch and not let the coach select his assistant coach, or?
I would normally say yes. However, the reason that I signed off on this was because it's a special education teacher, and I think that takes priority over the assistant baseball.
Yeah, so we're looking at, but we're hiring him for a dual contract.
Correct.
Yes.
So, I mean, I understand special ed is more important, and it really is. I'm just asking that question because, since no one is manning the ship right now, I'm just, would like a fair shot to level out the playing field for our athletes. But that's fine.
Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor? Those opposed, motion carries 7-0. Thank you very much, Mr. Van Matry.
Mr. President, members of the board, the HR administrator has a contract for the 22-23 school year to work on a part-time basis. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees approve this administrator, Ms. Ana Maria Elizondo, to work on a full-time basis.
We have a motion, administrative recommendation.
I motion.
Okay, Ben does, Jan seconds. Comments, questions? All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Mr. Van Matry, is there any further business?
Not at this time.
There is no further business. It is 9:08 p.m., June the 13th, 2022. I have a motion to adjourn. John, do we have a second? Ben, all those in favor? Those opposed, motion carries. It is 9:08 p.m., June the 13th, 2022. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you all, Mr. Harlan.